This is Jamie we're joining from a mystery office today.
Mystery office today.
Yeah, I'm not
Miguel.
going to tell you because I want you all to share with us in the chat box that you all are active on right now. Thank you so much for being there and also being here in this moment with myself and Miguel. It's such a pleasure to have you all from so many different locations. We saw some of you are from India, Taiwan. Did you see other locations that they're joining from?
Singapore over there.
Yeah, so many different
from
locations. Japan. Oh, it's so awesome that you can join us from
China.
everywhere, right? And it's great that we can connect with you all today. I'm Jamie. Today we'll be going through this work-life balance mindfulness session.
Yes.
Thanks to Miguel, we're able
Thank
to
you for
do
having
that
me, Jamie.
Today. And we will take about 15 minutes to hear from you about the tips that we can put into action, because we heard from a lot of you that work-life balance and just not staying stressed in the midst of all these things that are happening can feel just overwhelming, and life can be a lot. So
yes.
Yeah, we hoped that this session will be a time for you to hear a little bit about the tips that we use at Google. Just note that there are many different ways that we can tackle this, but yeah, we'll be approaching it from a mindfulness standpoint today.
That's right. So we want to be able to answer your questions later on. So we'll zero in within work-life balance or study-life balance, as some people were asking, specifically how to use meditation or mind training techniques in order to cope better.
Exactly. So throughout the session, we do have chat moderators on this side who you've met, Sabrina and Isamu. They will answer your questions there, but we will also be answering your questions live towards the end for the latter 15 minutes of our session. So just keep asking all your questions, right? We're here to answer, and that's the most important part for us. So do share that to the right. And the other part I do want to ask is that we are doing a swag giveaway.
What is it?
I don't know. It's a mystery. So many mysteries today. But yeah, we will share that towards the end as well. So just stay live with us, stay in tune, and we'll be sure to share that. And do you want to tell them where we're dialing in from now?
Okay, let's see who got it right.
Yeah, is there anyone who got it right?
We are right now in Tokyo, Japan.
Yes.
Tokyo, Japan, land of the rising sun.
Yes.
And I think we can get started.
Yeah, let's do it. You want to kick it off?
So a little bit of context about myself. My name is Miguel Mayer, and I'm working in partnerships with the startups and Olympics team. And I also get the chance to teach Search Insight Yourself, which is Google's program where we teach mindfulness around the world to our employees. So today we're going to have time to give a bit of an appetizer of some of the tools that you can use in case you find yourself in any of the following situations. So let's say, for example, you have an exam. Do you ever get a little bit stressed? Let's say that you're preparing for an interview, a job interview. Do you ever feel anxiety? Or let's say that you're looking at your peers who are preparing and you feel this sense of they're more ready than I am and I'm just not ready. And there's this story going on in your head. If you can relate to any of these kind of situations, which most of us have faced the situations at a certain point, it's useful what we're going to look at today. So perhaps we can start with mindfulness. What is it?
Yeah. Share with us.
What is it? What does it mean? So it's a very buzzworthy word nowadays. Mindful everything, right? So the definition of mindfulness, the way we're going to use it here today, it's a way of paying attention, right? It's a way of paying attention in the present moment. So you're not thinking about the future and you're not having a story in your mind about the past. So you're here now, but with an attitude of curiosity, with an attitude even of kindness, which is the opposite of judging, right?
That's tough.
Our minds like to judge. They like to judge others and they like to judge ourselves. And sometimes we can be really tough on ourselves. So how do we develop a way of paying attention that is present and that has this sense of non-judgment? That's what we're going to look at. That's what mindfulness is. So the simple way of saying is being present.
Yeah. And this is great. Honestly, I was a bit nervous joining you all today. The nerves hit in always for me, but just to have this session at this time of the day after a long day is perfect.
Okay.
So I'll enjoy this as well, I feel.
Shall we practice?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so this is a topic that is very much practice oriented. I can talk a lot about theory, and you can read a lot of books, but if you don't practice it, you're not going to get the benefits. So for those of you that find yourself looking at the screen and perhaps you're in a place where it's okay for you to close your eyes, then feel free to close your eyes and follow the voice. If there's other people around you and it's kind of awkward, it's okay. You can just look at the screen. No one's going to notice. And let's start with a 30-second mind training. 30 seconds. Shall we do it?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, let's do this. So I recommend we take a couple of deep breaths together. So take a deep breath in and breathe out. Take another deep breath in and breathe out. And one last deep breath in and breathe out, relaxing your body. Now stop and focus your attention on your breath. Continue breathing naturally, but focus your attention on your breathing. The inwards and outwards movement of your breathing might be in your chest, might be in your nose and your nostrils. How do you know that you're breathing right now? And allow your mind to settle for a few moments inside your breathing. Okay, now slowly you can open your eyes again. Come back. Now notice if your attention has slightly changed. Slightly, right?
Yeah.
Notice anything differently?
My eyes are so sensitive. We have these strong lights in
We have
this
strong
room.
lights in front of
I
us,
was
right?
Like, yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Suddenly we perceive light strongly.
Yeah.
Some of you maybe noticed your body, right? Suddenly it's like, oh, my back is hurting. I didn't notice that before, right? Some of you may have noticed that there's a lot of thoughts going on, right? You couldn't focus on the breathing. It was like this voice.
I did have a moment where I was like, oh, he told me to breathe in, but I'm breathing out. Am I doing the wrong thing? Yeah.
You can't get it wrong because
Yeah.
what we're doing is developing awareness. Just checking in and see what's going on inside me, what's going on in my body and what's going on outside, right? Maybe you heard suddenly the air conditioning, which was there all the time, but you didn't notice this. So it's kind of like you're increasing the resolution of your awareness, kind of like you have your phone and you have an upgrade, higher resolution. So when you focus your mind, you're paying attention carefully, that's what you're doing. Now, why would you want to do that? Remember the cases where we were saying where you're stressed or you feel anxious? Whenever we start doing that, we're basically lost in our minds, right? And it can feel pretty miserable when we get lost in our minds and we start having these loops, these stories. So this is a way that you can suddenly stop and become more aware of what's going on, right? So I'm going to give you a very simple technique to whenever the next time that you find yourself triggered and you feel this agitation, and perhaps, like for example, in my case here at Google, I was going to be the host of an event. It was 200 people on stage, right? Oh, I could feel my heart beating because of the pressure. So that's a good moment to use this SBNRR technique. That's a long acronym.
SBNRR.
Good news is you only have to remember the first letter.
Yes.
S. Okay? So the first letter stands by stop. Right? Whenever you find yourself, you're triggered, it's like, oh my God, I feel this pressure, this anxiety. So you stop. The B is you breathe. Just taking one breath could be a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
Just 3 seconds, taking a deep breath. No one's going to notice. It's like, what are you doing, Jamie? You're breathing. Like, don't do that, right? Like, no one's going to notice. Absolutely normal. And by suddenly stopping and breathing, now you're able to notice. That's the N. What's going on? Oh, my heart is beating. It's beating stronger. Perhaps my fists are clenched or my jaw is stiff. Oh, my armpits are starting to sweat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like really analyzing what's going on in my body in that moment. That gives me a little bit of space, not reacting, right? And then I go and reflect and I say, okay, why am I feeling this way, right? In this case, I'm going to go on stage and there's 200 people that are waiting for me. Okay, well, it's normal that I feel this way because there is pressure and it's not normal to have 200 pairs of eyes looking at me. So it's okay for my body to be like that. I can give myself a little bit of kindness, right?
Yes.
Have this curiosity, right? I'm asking questions, I'm reflecting. And now the last R is response. Now I can respond to that situation in a more mindful way, right? In a more, let's say, appropriate way. Or maybe what I'm going to do is like, okay, I'm going to take myself a minute, get my bottle of water, and say that it's okay. Worst case scenario, I go blank and someone is going to sing me a little sign with what's the next thing I need to say. So it's not live or death.
Yes.
And that's the thing. Like we have this biology that we are wired to run away from the tiger when we're in a danger situation.
Yeah.
But nowadays, maybe we get an email and we get triggered and all the thinking and the fight or flight comes in.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to stop that, take a breath, notice what's going on, ask myself some questions. Is this really true? Mm-hmm. Am I really not prepared for the exam or am I exaggerating? And then respond more appropriately to the situation.
That's great.
Okay, so that's the first technique that we've looked at. We did a little bit of mind training, focusing the mind on the breathing.
Yep. Then
we did the SBNRR. And now we can do a little bit of a longer meditation. It's going to be just 1 minute, right? Do you think you can do 1 minute without checking your phone?
That's tough.
That's
tough, work
right?
is like constant, right? So yeah, but we should try it.
We should try it and think that today we have so many distractions, so many things are claiming our attention, right? Whether it's your agenda throughout the day, class after class, interviews, all these meetings that you have arranged, or when you have a little bit of a break, you go and check your phone, right, and your social media, and that can be very entertaining, but it can be also a constant pull on your mind, constant stimulation. Mm-hmm. So wouldn't it be nice to have a moment where you can stop reacting and create a little bit of space?
Yeah.
And before we do the second meditation, let me explain why the space is so important.
Yeah.
If there's no space between your thoughts, there's no space between the stimuli around you, and that stimuli, again, it might be someone says something that is not nice to you, and the immediate reaction might be to, reply back something not nice to them. Mm. Unless we have a little bit of space before we respond, we're probably going to regret our reply.
Yes, that happens a lot.
Happened to me too, many, many times.
So guilty.
So we're trying to see how we can have a little bit more freedom in our choice of how we reply to the environment, right? So that when you're in a situation under stress and where you feel anxiety, you can create a little bit of space and have more options. It's like putting more cards on the table of other ways that I could reply to this person or to this situation. Okay, so this is going to be what's called a body scan. It's a very typical meditation. When we say meditation, it's really mind training within the context here, right? There's a very broad topic. So within this context, the mind training. So 1 minute, and again, I suggest that we start with a couple of deep breaths together. If you want to close your eyes, the reason we close our eyes is just not to get distracted, right? It's another way of input of stimuli. So if you feel comfortable, I'm going to close my eyes. And if you want to go with us, then let's take a deep breath together. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. And take another deep breath in. Filling your lungs and breathe out. And one last third deep breath in and relax your body, breathing out. Now focus your attention on your feet. Can you feel the bottom of your feet? How do you know that your feet are there? Perhaps you feel the pressure of the floor against your feet. Can you feel your toes? One by one. What about your hands? Can you feel the palm of your hands? Notice your hands becoming slightly more alive. Swiping your attention all the way through the tip of your fingers. Just noticing any sensation, any stimuli in your hands. And now bring your attention to the top of your head. And see if you can feel any sensation whatsoever from the top of your head, going through the muscles in your face, your eyes. Sometimes we accumulate tension in our jaw. You may want to relax that. What about your shoulders? Are they stiff? Just notice and allow that tension to let go. Going down towards your chest. Can you feel your heart beating? Some of you may be able to feel your heart beating. We don't pay attention to our heart normally. Just tune in to your body. Going down towards your stomach, your legs, all the way down to the bottom of your feet. And to finish off, just bring your attention one more time to your breathing, whatever that means to you. It might be your chest or your nose. And in your own time, when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to our shared space. Allow us 1 minute. Not a lot of time, but perhaps you notice your attention has shifted a little bit. There's something different. Perhaps it's a little bit more calm.
Yeah.
Perhaps a little bit more quiet. Or perhaps you noticed, oh, there's a lot of chaos going on in here I was not paying attention to. How was that experience for you, Jamie?
You know, it's so funny. Every time I do that, I see, and I open my eyes, I see that my head's like tilted back like this. It's just your bodily response to taking that moment is sometimes not always connecting to your mind, but in that moment, as you just kind of come back, that's when you add judgment or, add the layers of thinking, at least for me.
Right.
So that's when I realized, actually, it's just a bodily response and no judgment.
Right. Become curious about your own biology, what's going on inside. And that gives you a little bit of space so you don't go into reactive mode. Now, I'm aware of time.
Felt like it was longer than a minute.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, the time stretches.
Yeah.
Sometimes it passes really quickly, and sometimes it passes really slowly. Yeah. So it's funny how that works. I'd love to pick up some questions.
Yes. And I know that a lot of you were expecting us to dive right into the work-life balance conversation. This is the time for you to ask those questions in particular. The reason why we felt the mindfulness session would be key to this session in particular was because we got a lot of questions.
Right.
Saying, like practical tips on how to achieve this balance even, right? Yes. So we hope that this is a foundation for you to begin this journey of finding that work-life balance through mindfulness.
Right. So think of mind training as a way to make your mind more efficient so you can better focus. So when you're working, you're really working.
Yeah.
And when you're not working, you can actually rest as well.
Exactly.
Because sometimes we don't rest and we're just continually regurgitating the same thing in our heads. And for high performance, really important. And at Google, we make a strong emphasis as well, the importance of recovery in order to be effective and efficient. Yeah. So yes, time management is important, and there are other topics about work-life balance. But if you're going to be in an environment that is demanding and you're going to be working hard, then there are times where you're going to be stressed and anxious. So what we saw today is a beginning of something that can help you address those moments.
Yes.
Okay.
That's great. Let's jump to the questions.
Okay.
Let's see. We have a lot of great questions, by the way, so keep them coming. We want to answer as many as we can. So it seems that Amit is asking, for students, it's very hard to manage the homework, interest projects, social anxiety, especially during exams or placements. How to balance this all?
Right.
Oh, wait, I think it actually is Daria. Daria also asked a similar question. Daria from Australia. Thank you both for asking your question. What do you think about this?
So it is hard.
It's hard.
We're not going to say it's easy. It's hard. And I wish we could say then it becomes easy. But it is hard, right? You're by the sound of it, you're ambitious. You want to do a lot of things. You want to make the best use of your time. So prioritizing is key. You cannot do everything at the same time.
That's correct.
So remember that life is long. So there are times where you might want to push some things later on. And the recovery part is really important. I think that anxiety and when you feel stressed, most of the time it's because you're lost in your mind. right? So if you were actually doing the thing, you're not stressed. When I'm
That's true.
I'm here, I'm speaking with you, we're
Yeah.
having this live conversation. I could be stressed thinking about this, but while I'm having the conversation, I'm not stressed. I'm just doing the thing.
Yeah.
So recognize that stress and anxiety, 99% of the time,
Mhm.
it's our minds getting lost in thought.
Yes.
So bring it back to the present and say,
Mhm.
okay, what can I do now?
That's true.
What can I not do? What is beyond my area of control?
Yeah.
And then there's no point in worrying about it because I cannot do anything about it. So making that separation of your area of control, what is not under control, very useful in order to be able to prioritize and focus in the now.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's getting lost in the future all of the time. I've just been like, but I should be doing
Especially as
this.
Googlers thinking about the future.
Oh, yes. Don't stop, right? So, yeah, prioritization is key, I feel. All right, next question. Ms. Sarge, very excited for getting tips on how to be calm before coding.
Okay. Well, I hope you got some tips already
Yes.
in this session. And, calming down your mind, having a little bit of a meditation before you start any activity that demands all of your full attention, right? Like coding requires your full attention.
Yes.
So this was an appetizer. You may want to check out Insight Timer. There's an insighttimer.com free meditation app. You have a lot of free meditations and find what works for you, right? So for reference today, we looked at, and we'll put it there in the comments, Insight Timer. We looked at a body scan and we did a breathing meditation. So try those out, and maybe you want to experiment with a bit of a longer meditations. There's also the 1 moment meditation. Check out that app, which is trying to make it like really, really short because you guys are really busy. But experiment with a little bit of mind training before you go into the coding session.
Yeah, I think also for some research that I've read about, music is supposed to also help as well, right? I did read an article where it says music can help reduce 65% of anxiety. So do check that out. Like music, different genres of music can definitely help.
And there's now research looking at what are the songs that actually calm you the most.
Exactly.
So do some Googling out there and you can find some lists over there. Also to get you into a state of flow, which is, it's a little bit of a different topic, but is when you're fully engaged with your work. So yeah, +1 to music. Little tip there, music without lyrics usually works better. Because lyrics distract you, right? It's another input. So you want to get into a rhythm.
And if you do have any music, that you want to share with everyone else, be sure to share it in the chat box.
I'd love to check it out.
Okay, next question. Okay, I'm told that Google engineers' average job span is 3.5 years. Why is it so? Is the life there that hectic and stressful? Great question. What do you think?
Well, we would need to look at it. What does that mean, really, right? What does that mean? Does it mean they have another opportunity? A lot of companies want to recruit Google engineers, right? It's a very attractive talent. So it might be for many different reasons. I don't have the straight answer without looking at the data.
That's very true. Fair point. Just to go back to is the life there that hectic and stressful? Yeah, I think any job can feel overwhelming, but I think the great thing about Google is that we do have trainings and resources like this, right, to equip us and to make us feel like we can take time like this. Work-life balance is encouraged by my manager, by my peers. I leave at 5 p.m. every day to go spinning, right? So that's my thing, and people respect that. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Google provides a lot of resources to manage your own work-life balance. I mean, right now, we're here close to the engineers building, actually. There are pods there for taking naps, right? Like literally like what are they called? The hotel
nap pod?
Nap pods, right? Like Japanese kind of beds.
Yeah.
And people actually use them, and you go there. Why? Because it can be the best use of your time. Sometimes is to get a power nap, refresh the brain. You can go back to coding. But not everyone makes the best use of those resources. So work-life balance, the bottom line is you have to use what is available to you.
Practice.
But I would say that Google, even though it is definitely a high-performance environment, it does provide you the tools for you to be able to manage your stress. And we have a lot of internal courses as well to help with that.
Exactly. All right, next question. What's the easiest way to open up to colleagues, especially for someone with social anxiety? That's a great question. This one can be really tough, right?
Yes. Okay, so opening up to colleagues. Well, if you want, I'll take the other side of the question is if you want people to open up to you, you have to open up first, right? And you may want to start really small. right? So whenever you become a little bit vulnerable, other people feel it's okay for them to share a little bit as well about something a little bit more private. So the advice that comes to mind is try to find what is the next step of something a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more personal that you can share with them that feels slightly uncomfortable, not completely out of your comfort zone, right? And you may find that you share that and the people respond in a certain way and you feel comfortable with that. And over time, you can expand that area.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for asking that. What are the most common misconceptions about working life? I hear a lot of negative things about work life, and it's starting to get to me. Whew, I'm so sorry that you're stressed about this already, even before you began. But what do you think about
common
this?
Misconceptions?
Maybe we are living the working life and we don't know what the misconceptions are. That could be the reason why we are struggling with this question in particular. But I think there's a lot of misconceptions that depending on the company that you're at, like you are restricted to the culture of that company, which that is true. It's a huge factor. There's also things like
your role,
you become
your project,
jaded,
maybe you stop learning and then you become a bit jaded. You need to move on. It's a very dynamic thing. So it's perhaps too much to say working life and everything falls under that. There's so much diversity in types of roles and types of lifestyles within the working life.
Exactly. And I think that's really important to share because a lot of us get consumed in the work aspect of it, but I have a life outside of work too. I have a family outside of work. You recently got married as well. So there's just so much happening in our life outside of work. And it's a matter of finding that balance between the two where they coexist harmoniously. Right?
But you have to protect your own time, right? So that's very important. We give a lot of autonomy at Google. Autonomy meaning that you can get things done the best way that works for you, and we trust that you'll get it done in a great way. But at the end of the day, you could work 12 hours a day if you want to, or if you don't use your time properly. So it's not about face time. It's not about number of hours. It's about output. So having that focus on results, I think is really important. And that's perhaps one of the, actually, I would say one of the benefits of working life versus study life is that if you use your mind properly and you're really efficient, you can get a lot more done in less time.
So it's about practice and, just being aware of these things. So, okay, we have more questions. I think we're just going to go through a couple more, if that's okay. Since Google is such a large corporation, is there some kind of effort made to have a more open culture, flat hierarchy, where even freshers get to interact with people higher up on the ladder?
Okay. So I'm going to take that question because actually this is one of the reasons I joined Google. At the time, I was doing an MBA internship in the Singapore office, actually. And I was struck by the fact that me being an intern, I could reach out to the managing director and he would have breakfast with me. I could reach out to the HR APAC director and he will have a coffee chat with me. So even though it is a big company, there is a lot of access to anyone around is willing to share their time and catch up with you. So I would say the culture that Google has developed and maintained, it's one of the key reasons why I joined, because I thought that was extraordinary, that given the size, it was still possible to have such a flat feeling of being able to connect with anyone.
So, I think everyone makes a conscious effort there to make ourselves available because what people say about Google, and what I particularly like to say as well, is that what makes Google is the people, right? And that's what keeps us here.
And Googlers, it was Googlers that called themselves Googlers, right? It wasn't the company that came up with that.
Exactly.
So we have time, one more minute.
We have one more question here for us. I read many students claim and slightly felt myself wrestling with imposter syndrome. Yes, I like your advice on how to not be let down by it. So I do want to do a plug here that we will do a YouTube live session on this topic, and we'll be sure to invite you all to that, as I feel like it's a little bit of a different angle about making you all feel that you're not imposters and how we can do that.
Right.
But anything you want to share quickly about this?
Two things. One, it happens to us people at Google as well, right? So it's absolutely normal. And number two, one of the exercises that we did today, when you notice what's going on in here, you may want to ask yourself, is this really true? Is this really true? And just asking the question may start to deconstruct and fall apart that it's actually not true, that story that you're telling yourself.
Yeah. Great points. All right, that wraps up our session, but I haven't forgotten about the swag giveaway,
right.
the most important part of our section, apart from, all the tips that we learned. Thank you so much again for that. So we will be giving out these plushies to join you on your mindfulness journey. Yay! We hope it's a reminder for you to just take a moment to breathe and just not be judgmental with yourself and just give yourself some kindness. And how you can enter is by sharing in the form in the description below. And yeah, just add your email as well. That's how we'll reach out to you if you have won the swag.
Good luck to you.
Yes, good luck to you all. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube Live Google Students channel. That's where you can find more opportunities such as this one. And we'll be sure to connect with you next time. And thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thank you. Be kind to yourselves.
Yes. All right.
Bye.
Bye.